Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel SF with AK. This is Aman Kumar and I am 22 times certified Salesforce architect. In last episode, I told you that episode 5 is where an AI becomes Salesforce newest user. So let's do that today. Quick recap of where we are until now. In previous 4 episodes, we have learned quite a lot. Auth flows, REST APIs, composite APIs, bulk APIs, headless identity. We can get a token, we can read and write data, and we can sign a customer in without them ever seeing a Salesforce page. But notice one thing about all of that. Every single time, the thing calling those APIs was our code, a Node script, a React app, something we sat down and wrote. Today it isn't. Today it's about Claude. I'm going to ask an AI in plain English to look inside my org. Then I'm going to ask it to change my org, and I'm going to do it twice. Because Salesforce actually ships 2 MCP servers. They are built for completely different jobs, and a lot of people don't know the second one exists. Let's get into it. Well, let's start with the MCP. MCP is Model Context Protocol. The way I explain it to my team is this. A model on its own can only talk. It can reason, it can write SQL, it can probably explain governor limits better than anyone, but it cannot reach anything. It has no hands. MCP gives its hands. That is really all it is. It's a protocol. People say USB for AI, and honestly, that's a good comparison. One shape of plug, and now the model can talk to anything with a matching socket. Every MCP setup has the same 3 pieces. The client, that's the AI, claude-code, Claude desktop, cursor, whatever you use. The server, a small program that sits in the middle and tells the AI, here are my tools, here's what each one takes, not screens, tools. And the real system on the other end, your org, your database, your GitHub. Now notice, there's no UI anywhere in that list. And that is exactly why this belongs in a series about going headless. Well, here's the shift. For 4 episodes, headless served humans. We pulled the head off, and then we put a different one, a portal, a mobile app, that branded sign-up form we built, a different head, sure, but still a head, still built for someone with eyes. This time, we don't put one back. Why does that matter now? 3 quick reasons. Agents can't click. So the Lightning was built for a human with a mouse. An agent has no mouse. It has HTTP. So if your org is only reachable through a UI, then as far as every agent on earth is concerned, your org does not exist. Second, speed. A human clicks, waits, clicks, waits. An agent fires 10 calls at once and reads all 10 answers together. That isn't a small improvement. It's a different shape of work. And third, your reps and your agents are going to be sharing the same backend, same data, same permissions, same everything. And that is not in the future. That's today. Headless is how you get ready for it. 3 actors, 2 protocols, and 1 backend doing all the real work. Claude-code in my terminal on the left, the MCP server in the middle, my dev org on the right. The middle one is the bit that we need to understand today. The MCP server is a translator. That's it. To Claude, it speaks MCP. Here are my tools. Here's what they take. To Salesforce, it speaks REST and OAuth. Gate/services/data/query, the same endpoint we hand wrote in episode 1. So the server isn't magic. It isn't a new capability. It's a wrapper, a good one, but a wrapper. Around the exact same headless APIs we have been calling by hand for 4 episodes. The API didn't change, the caller did. Okay, this is the part which most people miss. So Salesforce ships 2 MCP servers. 2. They have similar names. People talk about them like they are same thing, and they are not. They are different products for different people. On the left, the DX MCP server, it's an NPM package. It runs on your machine, you install it, you log in with Salesforce CLI, and you're done. No auth app, no consumer key, nothing to build in setup. On the right, hosted MCP. Salesforce runs it. There's nothing on your machine at all. You authenticate with an external client app and Pixie-Flow, which, if you watched episode 3, you have already built once. Now, the row that matters, records. The DX server is read-only, and I want to be specific about that because it surprised me as well. The data toolset in the DX server has exactly one tool in it. One. It's called Run SQL Query. No create, no update, no delete. Now, in fairness, you find this out quickly. You can ask Claude to create a task on this server, and it will just tell you in the first reply that it doesn't have a tool for that. It doesn't flail around, it doesn't pretend, but you will have installed it, authorized an org, and wired it into your project before you found out. So it's worth knowing which one is which before you start. Hosted is the full CRUD. Create as object record, update as object record, delete as object record, SQL query, get object schema, everything you would expect. So then, what is the DX server for? Everything else. 60 plus tools, deploy metadata, retrieve metadata, run Apex tests, LWC, Aura migration, code analyzer, DevOps center. It's a developer's tool and it's very good at it. And hosted goes the other way. Your flows, your invocable Apex, your Apex REST, Data 360, Tableau Next. DX is still in beta, and it's for the people who build the org. The other went GA in April, and it's for the people who use the org. One more thing about the hosted side, hosted MCP isn't a single server. It's a family of them, and each one is a different URL. There's a server for reading records, a different one for creating and updating, another just for deletes, one for flows, one for Data 360, one for Tableau. You don't connect to Salesforce, you connect to the specific server for the specific job. Neither one replaces the other. Most real orgs are going to end up running both. Let me actually show you both toolboxes because this is where it gets practical. Left side, hosted. This is the menu and it's a real menu. In my org, right now, there are 9 of these servers, and the number depends on what you have switched on. Let me group them so they make sense. The records one first, and this is the clever bit. If you only want Claude to read and never touch anything, you point at the S-object read server. Create and update, but never delete. S-object mutation. Delete only, S-object deletes. The load, S-object all. 4 servers, 4 blast radii. You're choosing what Claude can do to your records by choosing which URL you connect to. The server is the permission boundary. Then a Data 360 group, server for querying your unified customer data, and Tableau Next for analytics. A couple of newer developer ones in beta, metadata experts, which helps generate clean metadata, and Salesforce API context, which feeds the model proper field definitions so it stops guessing. There's an Agentforce grid server for driving those AI spreadsheet grids. And the two I like most, a flow server that turns your lightning flows into tools Claude can call, and an invocable action server that does the same for you at the rate invocable method Apex. Your own automations exposed to an agent without writing a line of integration code. Right side, the DX server. Opposite problem, it doesn't come as a menu, it comes as a one big box of 60 plus tools. And your job is to not hand Claude all 60. The tools are grouped into tool sets. The 5 you will actually use most days are orgs, metadata, data, users, and testing. That's your classic DX kit. Deploy, retrieve, run Apex test, query. Then there is a whole set of specialists you add only when you need them. LWC experts, code analysis, DevOps, mobile, Apex group for performance. And you've got 4 ways to trim it. Tool sets, if you want the whole groups, desk toolsets, data, metadata, desk tools, if you want to name individual tools and nothing else. Desk dynamic tools, which is the clever one. It starts minimal and loads tools on demand as Claude needs them. The rule underneath all of this is the same one from the last slide. The core toolset is always on. You can't turn it off. And you should never ship toolsets all to anyone real. 60 tools in the context window makes the model slower. Give it the smallest set that does the job. How do you actually choose? One question. Are you building the org or are you using it? Building, you are in VS Code. Something like add a renewal risk, pick list to opportunity. Run the Apex tests, deploy it. Claude writes the metadata, runs the tests, calls deploy metadata. That's DX MCP. And while it does that, it literally cannot touch a single record, which for that job is exactly what you want. Using, you are a rep, an admin, an ops lead, every account with no activity in 90 days. Create a follow-up task for the owner. Claude runs a SQL query, then creates the reports. That's hosted server. And it runs as your field level security, your sharing rules, your name in the audit trail, not some integration user. And if you take one thing away from the slide, take this. Don't choose on features, choose on blast radius. The DX server cannot delete your data. The hosted server cannot break your deployment. That is not a limitation in either one. That is a boundary. And boundaries are exactly what you want when you are handing keys to something that will, at some point, confidently do the wrong thing at 3 in the morning, then scope it down again. As object reads instead of as object all until you trust it. Toolset data and metadata instead of all. Give it the smallest key that opens the door you actually need. Okay, how to set up the DX one. So the DX server, this one is generally 3 commands. One thing the slide doesn't tell you, command 2 needs Salesforce CLI. If you don't have it, npm install test@salesforce/CLI. Then come back and install the MCP. Now let's see how these commands run in VS Code. So let's go to VS Code. Okay, I'm in VS Code. Let's first create a new project. Create project with manifest. Standard, and let's give it a name. ASF with AK, CRUD connector. Okay, the project has been created. Now click on no default org set so that we can set a default org and search for our org. Let's hit enter and it has been set. So I have already installed CLI and the npm. So let's open the terminal. So now let's first install Salesforce MCP. You can use command npm install @salesforce/mcp and hit enter. It will take some time and it will install the MCP server. Okay, this has installed the MCP server. You can see multiple modules has been installed and there are 37 issues that npm raised. You can fix these or just leave it. It doesn't matter for our demo. So let's install the claude-code now. So I'll be using npm install savedev Anthropic AI claude-code, and I will be using legacy-peer dependencies because it's only needed if you hit the resolve conflict, and that's very common with older ESLint configurations in the SFDX. So let's hit enter. It's a small package, so it will be installed quickly than Salesforce MCP. Now that has been installed. Now link the claude-code with the Salesforce MCP. For that, we will use this command npx claude mcp add scope is project Salesforce npx y Salesforce MCP orgs, and in orgs variable I'm just passing default target org. That means it will only be able to access this org, nothing else. If you pass multiple orgs, it will be able to access multiple orgs, or you can just pass all the orgs that are authorized in your VS Code. And for toolset, I'm just passing all for a demo, but in real, you can just trim it down to use the tool that you need. Now let's hit enter. And that has initialized the servers with Claude. Now let's run the Claude, npx Claude. As you can see, it says new MCP server found in this project. Now we can use this MCP server. Let's hit enter. Now let's try writing something. So let's query some accounts. So let's say get me 5 accounts with most revenue. Okay, that means our login has expired for the Claude. So let's log in to the Claude first. Login, Claude account with subscription, and then authorize, copy the code. Let's paste code here and hit enter. And we are logged in as aman@seplex.com. It's working again and it's already querying the data. Now it's saying that it want to use this particular connector. So let's say yes. Now it want to run this query. Because I have it on manual mode, it will ask me before attempting to query or attempting to use the Salesforce org. So yes. And I have my 5 accounts here. So these are 5 test accounts in the org, and it queried all these accounts. If you open claude-code here, type in the same query, get me 5 opportunities. So we change accounts to opportunities, and let's say order by close date using the MCP server. Hit enter, and let's see. Now it's asking me if it can use the MCP server, so I will say yes. Now it's asking me to use the MCP Salesforce run SQL query, so I will say yes. And we have the 5 opportunities that we need. Okay, that is how you can use the DX MCP server and with the claude-code. Now let's move on to the PPT and see the next server. Okay, the next one is the Salesforce hosted MCP server. In this one, we don't need the CLI. We will just need the authentication. We need to build a connected app and then authorize that with the cloud. And it will be able to use that in chat as well. Let's go to Salesforce first. Let's build the app. Then we will connect that app to the cloud. Let's go to Salesforce again. Okay, I'm in Salesforce. Let's go to setup. We will first create the external client app. External client app manager. Now let's create a new one. You can use any existing one, but we will need different scopes here. So I'm using a new one. Cloud connector, email, and in API, enable the auth setting. So for callback URL, we can use this URL, cloud.ai, API, MCP, auth callback. And scopes, we will just need the MCP API and the refresh token. So let's find refresh token. Yeah, this one. So we only need these 2 scopes. Let's move on. And we don't need all these. We can keep the Pixie one. We cannot change this now. And we need to check this one. That's all that we need to change on the external client side. Let's create the app. The app has been created. Let's go to settings. And you can get client ID and client secret from this. It will take 10 minutes before we can use this app. I will use the existing app. Let's go back to client app manager. Click on headless auth. Go to settings, auth settings. And I already added MCP callback here and the MCP API as well as the refresh token. So I will be able to use this app to connect to cloud. Now let me get the consumer key and secret. Let me authenticate. Once you have this, go back to Salesforce, type in MCP and go to MCP servers. We will first activate the server that we need. So let's say you need a subject all. So first we need to activate the server and we'll get a URL from here itself. So let's activate it. And we can copy this URL here. Now let's go to cloud, click on customize and go to connectors and click on add custom connector. Let's give it a name, cloud SF connector. And the remote URL that we copied will be this. Now get the consumer key and secret, copy the consumer key, copy the secret, and click on add. Now let's click on connect. That will take me to Salesforce login page. As soon as I'm signed in, it says connected to Claude SF connector. Now, if I go to connector, I will be able to see the connector live. And I can see and change these approval processes. Like for read-only tools, do I need it to ask me every time, or it just always take and just query the data? So I can say always allow or needs approval, or I can block this permanently, or I can have custom ones as well. And I can do the same with each scope as well. So it's just not on the read-only tools combined. You can do this for each tool separately as well. Similarly, we have 5 write tools which can create records, which can delete records, and you can block it or allow, or you can ask it to get approval before it can make any change. Now let's go to chat and see if it works. Now let's ask the same query here. Get me 5 accounts with highest revenue and enter. Let's see if it works. So it's finding the tools, and you can see we got the 5 records. Now let's take one record and let's create a task. Create a follow-up task for this account and with the due date of 7 days from today. And let's hit enter. Now it's again finding the tools. It found it. Now it's calling the create record and it's created this. Now let's see the task in the Salesforce. Let's go here, click on tasks, and this is the follow-up task created by Claude. And it's saying my name because I was the one who connected the Claude to Salesforce. You can see the due date is 7 days from today. So I'm recording this on 15th July. So, and you are seeing the date of 22nd July. That's how it works. Now we can use different MCP servers as well. So this was the one which has all these permissions of create record, get record, delete record. But if you want to have limited access, you can use the one that has limited access, like S-object mutation. That will only allow you to update the record. Then there is S-object deletes. That will allow you to only delete the records. S-object reads, which will allow you to read the record only. It will not allow to create or delete a record. And these all are for different purposes. So you can open any of these and check the tools that it has, and each tool has a description for the purpose it was created for. And that's how you can decide which tool to go for. Now let's get back to the PPT. Okay, why the agents need headless? Well, we can do the same job 2 different ways, and look how different they need to be served. A human wants a UI, tabs, filters, buttons, visual cues, telling them what's even possible. An agent only wants a JSON typed and structured. It does not care what the color or anything is. A human reads very slowly and needs white space or they drown. An agent reads very fast, and for an agent, a bigger payload isn't a problem. A bigger payload is a feature. A human does one thing at a time, click, wait, click. An agent fires 10 calls at once, and the last one is the one that gets me. A human forgets edge cases. If there is an open case, 3 scroll down the page, your rep is not going to see it. Ask an agent to summarize the account and it will check the open cases anyway. And the last note, and the recent emails. Not because it's careful, because checking costs it nothing. Same Salesforce, different head. Lightning serves the human, the API layer serves the agents. And a grown-up org needs both. 3 things you can actually go and try today. These pay back the setup time in days, not months. Ad hoc reporting. Stop building a report for every time somebody asks you a question. Just ask opportunities by stage, by AE, this quarter as a table. 4 seconds, no report builder, no folder permissions, no argument about who owns the report. Bulk updates with the judgment. This is generally a new one. Every lead older than 90 days with no activity, mark it as nurture. Add a note saying why do you need to nurture it. Data loader can do the update. Data loader cannot do the why. Claude reads, decides, and writes. And smart summaries, brief me on the ACME. It pulls the account, the open opportunities, the recent cases, the last few emails into one single page. Before every customer call, you can do this. That is the one your sales team will genuinely thank you for. Two of those three will need the hosted server. DX can't write records, but you know that. So where does that leave us? Agents are the new admins, not because they replace us, but because a lot of what we used to do by clicking, they now do by calling. And the orgs that are ready for that are the ones that took the head off, which is what the last 5 episodes have been for. Next up, episode 6, we are building a Slack bot and think about what that actually is. After everything we have just done, Slack becomes the head. Someone asks about a deal in channel and Salesforce answers, and nobody on the team opens a Salesforce tab. Same backend, same API, just a different front door. If this was useful, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so episode 6 shows up in your feed. And tell me in the comments which one of the two servers would you reach for first. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.